Hey y'all, it's Jacqueline at Pixie Dust PhD. I'm recording this in June of 2025. This is the month 64 creator update. There has honestly been a ton of news. Probably could have made a whole separate news video on a bunch of these stories alone, but just haven't really had the time or bandwidth lately. So we're going to do a little bit of rapid fire. It's not going to be terribly in depth, but I'm really interested to hear your thoughts. And then of course we will do stats, analytics, and revenue for the past month and lifetime of the channel. As an FYI, I recently started a new medication and the side effects are kind of kicking my butt, so I am super tired, like just so drowsy. So if I seem low energy or like not as enthused as normal, it's really just because my brain is like super fuzzy, and I thought about not doing this, but there's a lot of stuff that's been going on in the theme park world that I did want to discuss with you all. So sorry if the energy's off. It's nothing bad or whatever, just working through some new meds. All right, let's go ahead and get started with news. So first things first, there are some DVC member perks coming for member weeks in the summer. That's going to be mid-August through mid-September. I have a whole dedicated blog post over on my Ko-fi about this, where you can see here on the DVC website that it's broken out by activity. What I did instead on the blog is break it out by location. So if you're going to Walt Disney World, you'll know what's applicable to you. If you're going to Aulani, you'll know what's applicable to you, etc. So I'm not going to go over this in detail because it is on the blog post. You do not have to be a monthly member to see that blog post. I released that for everybody. I will leave a link in the description below. But to highlight one thing, most excitingly, we are getting this 40% off food discount at select table service restaurants at Walt Disney World. So like the VI pass holder perk, it's basically the same list. I think I didn't do a one-to-one comparison, but it feels very similar. So if you happen to be a DVC member and an annual pass holder, I think you then now get basically like 2 months to enjoy this perk. So yeah, that's exciting. Next up in Disney Vacation Club news, DVCnews.com did sort of break this story that there's now like a checkbox when you go to book a reservation that says, you know, I attest that this reservation is for personal use only. There's a lot of hubbubaloo about this on the internet. I could make an entire separate video about this, honestly. Let me know if you'd be interested in my breakdown of that in the comments down below. If that's something folks want to hear, I'll definitely do it. But basically, to me, this is kind of a nothing burger. I mean, it's something in that, like, this is a change to the little checkbox you have to do for your reservation, but in terms of the rules or whatever, I don't really think it's any different. At least as of the contract I signed, it had stated that Disney Vacation Development, so the overarching brand of DVC, has sole discretion over what they deem to be commercial activity. And this checkbox changes, nothing about the interpretation of that verbiage, in my opinion. Again, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a timeshare expert, so caveats. But basically, the past couple of condo association meetings, there has been more consternation from the members about the perception that there are folks who have large contracts that are using it solely to rent that out. And though that commercial activity essentially is making it harder to book reservations for like genuine owners. And I believe in these condo association meetings, DVC leadership has acknowledged that they think that there is a very, very small percentage of contracts where, yes, they think that the primary purpose of that is commercial use. And so to me, I'm like, I don't really know why they did this checkbox thing. Maybe it was a cover their butts kind of move, but you would think that they have records to find who is constantly making reservations and swapping out names. And then that's like, they have sole discretion to deem that as commercial use. And then I don't know if you just invalidate the contract or what, but you're breaking terms and conditions then. I've seen a lot of people panic following this news that they think this means they could never rent out their reservation. Like say you genuinely make a reservation for you, but you break your arm and you don't want to go anymore and it's 3 months out, you could rent that. And now people are scared that you can't. I really don't perceive that being a problem. I think that's not abuse of the system. And yes, DVD does have sole discretion over what's commercial activity. But if you have like one rental a year or something, does that really scream commercial activity? So anyway, this was a good catch by DVCnews.com. I'm definitely not bashing them for reporting it, but I think that the general consensus I've seen on the internet is overblown about. I don't really see this to be a big deal. And again, there's probably like 9 or 10 bullet points I could go through in a separate video. That's not worth our time right now. But if you are interested, let me know in the comments down below. All right, moving over to Disneyland, we did get their Halloween announcement. So there's a lot in this Disney Parks blog post. I will leave this linked below. But if you really are just interested in dates, here we are for August. Here we are for September, and here we are for October. And you can see October 31st is now $200. So yeah, the price for these events is definitely getting high. But if you get the utility out of it, more to you. And like, I've never done Oogie Boogie Bash. So if I was out there during this time of year, I would probably pay for it regardless. So I definitely get it. But yeah, we're getting Halloween announcements. I mean, halfway to the holidays should be next month. So maybe we'll start getting the kind of Christmas, winter, holiday announcements soon. Lots of cute stuff here. Special food. Very fun. The bigger Disneyland news, though, of course, is this future expansion. So a lot going on here, honestly. You can see that there's a new parking structure and transportation hub coming, and then they've got this bridge with this beautiful sign. Tomorrowland looks kind of weirdly barren. I don't know. That is so strange to me that they would leave more of Tomorrowland out of the concept art. But anyway, really cool pedestrian bridge. I think that's going to be awesome and add a lot to the bubble. And then we've got the Coco attraction. So this is going to be near Paradise Garden Park and Pixar Pier in areas that are predominantly backstage. So we shouldn't be losing anything guest-wise for this new attraction. Some backstage areas are going to be lost, so I can't say how that will affect cast members, but hopefully nothing too dramatic, so that's exciting. And then we've got the Avatar experience. So they are continuing to refuse to call this a land or an attraction, which I think is so weird because it very clearly is a ride, right? But anyway, so to make way for Avatar, Monsters, Inc., Mike and Sully to the Rescue will close in early 2026. So we are losing that for Avatar. If you're headed to Disneyland in the next 6 months or so, you still have time to go on Mike and Sully to the Rescue. It's a cute ride, and I don't know, maybe it's probably a loss for some people, but the Avatar experience looks like it's going to be really cool. So hopefully in the end, folks are happy about it. And then who knows, maybe they will take some of the Mike and Sully to the Rescue stuff and ship that over to Walt Disney World for their Monsters, Inc. land coming to Hollywood Studios. And speaking of, Muppet Vision 3D in Hollywood Studios is now closed, as well as that whole Muppets Courtyard area. We did get this announcement from Walt Disney World that the Muppets are packing up and moving to Sunset Boulevard for their first ever coaster. So the Rock and Roller Coaster starring the Muppets speeds into Hollywood Studios in 2026. So we don't have an exact day, and we don't know when Rock and Roller Coaster with Aerosmith will close. They do say that you can still do Aerosmith through 2025. So I would expect that means that, shortly after holidays or maybe after Marathon weekend, maybe that goes down, current Rock and Roller Coaster, for them to do a refurb. The other thing I think that we can infer from this, because Rock and Roller Coaster will close probably early 2026, and then it's going to reopen as Muppets Rock and Roller Coaster the same year, is that it's not going to be a major overhaul. It's basically going to be a reskin. But honestly, I think that works fine. The pre-show of Rock and Roller Coaster with Aerosmith is probably the thing that needs the most updates to make it more Muppety. And then within the queue and ride itself, I don't think it's actually going to be all that challenging for them to update to make it more Muppety. And the last big news piece I wanted to touch on is the Piston Peak National Park for Frontierland. So this is the reimagining of Rivers of America into a Cars land, basically. So a lot of feelings about this, for sure. But I will say from the concept art, it looks like we're keeping a decent chunk of Rivers of America. There's also this really cool waterfall feature. Apparently, Piston Peak is part of Planes. I've never seen Planes, but apparently it is canon in the Cars universe. I think it's also really awesome that we're getting something fully different from Cars Land in Disneyland. So as much as I love Radiator Springs, it's nice that they are separate and it's not just a copy-paste. I'm also very much not an expert of the intricacies of the layouts of Disney World. I'm really not great at spatial awareness, if I'm being honest, but part of me thinks that having the river be half the size that it was might help with some pinch points, especially during parade time. If you have smarter person thoughts than me, definitely leave those in the comments down below. I know a lot of people are really bummed to be losing sort of the historic Rivers of America and the boat ride, but honestly, this looks really cute, and if they maintain this much of the river, I still think you're going to get those awesome vibes. Personally, I am excited for this, but that is par for the course for me. Typically, whenever they announce a change, I'm like, oh, a new thing, that'll be fun. I don't have official numbers of guest visits per attraction, but I would imagine Tom Sawyer Island is pretty low on that list, and it also has always seemed like a little bit of a safety hazard to me. What if people are on that island when a big lightning storm strikes? You can't really get them off the island then, right? Do they shelter in place? I don't know. But anyway, let me know your thoughts about Piston Peak in the comments down below. I definitely think that this concept art is promising, but of course it is only concept art, so we will have to see how it develops over time. That was all the news I wanted to discuss. If I missed any other big announcements, leave those in the comments down below if you want to chat. With that, let's move into month 64 analytics. So I pulled these from May 11th through June 10th. During this past monthly period, I did post 7 actual videos, so again, a pretty heavy posting month for me. At the start of the month, we had a DVC availability look in at 11 months for that spring break time frame. It's pretty okay. And then aside from the monthly creator update, it really was a smattering of videos from my October 2023 trip and my September 2024 trip. So I think actually now we are officially done with October of 2023. It only took a year and a half, but we made it. And the September 2024 trip was short, so fast, I wasn't really filming much, so we shouldn't have too much more there, I don't think. For my monthly Ko-fi members only, we are continuing planning discussions with regard to Walt Disney World and Disney Vacation Club, and in particular, this past month we spent some time talking about table service dining options, and I'll leave it at that. If you are interested in becoming a monthly member, there is a link below where you can join. It's just $5 a month. Here is a look at the top content by views for this past monthly period. Once again, Disneyland short reigns supreme. Very strange to me. And honestly, there are 3 shorts on this list, and they're all old. I haven't been posting shorts, so I don't know what's going on, why I'm getting picked up in the short feed. I'm not complaining, it's just a funny phenomenon. This is honestly a pretty good spread. It's usually very heavy DVC, and here you can see it's a nice spread of DVC room tours, Disney World, and Universal, so an interesting month for me for sure. And of these videos, 3 of them were posted within the past monthly period, so the DVC availability video, those tend to do decently, honestly, and then same with room tours. We've got our Old Key West room tour, and then my trip annoyances video, kind of wrapping up our October 2023 trip. Overall, in month 64, the channel got just under 8,300 views from just over 4,800 unique viewers. Of those unique viewers, 949 of you were returning. Thank you so much for coming back. All of your actions, such as liking the video, subscribing to the channel, ringing the bell icon to turn on notifications, comments, sharing with friends, that's all super helpful. And big thanks to my monthly Ko-fi supporters this past monthly period. That was Tara, Judy, Amy, Michelle, James, Coco, and Tiffany. This past month, the channel got about 450 watch hours. We also eclipsed 100,000 impressions, with 39.7% of those impressions coming from YouTube. And I'm pleased to report that in month 64, the channel got 30 new subscribers. Moving into lifetime analytics, the channel is now at about 408,000 views. Those views have resulted in 26,300 watch hours, and we are at 4.58 million impressions, with 40.7% of those coming from YouTube. And overall, the channel has 2,034 subscribers. Moving into some reflections, month over month, so month 64 compared to month 63, generally was a lot better. View duration was the only stat that decreased, and some stats had a pretty meaningful uptick. So definitely the number of impressions this month compared to last month was way better, although that didn't really translate into a big jump for impressions from YouTube. I'm kind of wondering if whatever's going on with the algorithm to pick up some of my shorts is influencing the impressions number to be higher, but that's not translating because most of my viewer base is not watching shorts. Most of them are watching videos, right? And again, excitingly, we did get 30 subscribers this month, which is probably the first time in almost a year that we've hit 30 in 1 month. So I'm really, really happy about that. And for lifetime analytics, nothing really big to report here. We didn't hit any huge milestones. None are really coming up anytime soon, but it's always nice to see these grow over time. Moving into revenue then, this past month I made about $36. That was a little over $5 for every 1,000 views, or a little under $17 for every 1,000 ad views. And here were the top 5 video performers in terms of revenue gained. Of these top 5, 2 were DVC heavy videos and 2 were room tours, which is not all that surprising given the interest of my viewer base. Lifetime revenue, we're now at about $1,644. That's just over $4 for every 1,000 views, or about $20.50 for every 1,000 ad views. And here is a look at the last 6 months of revenue. A steady decrease since winter time, but that was to be expected, honestly. I think winter felt like an anomaly, and now we're back to normal. And finally, here is a look at probable upcoming content on the channel. I believe already posted should be my vlog from my September 2024 trip of my Animal Kingdom Day and my Steakhouse 71 to-go experience. And then none of the rest are fully ready, but I'm hoping to get you a DVC video that's focused on one-time use points. So not the explainer, but once you've bought them, how you can use them online. I went to Topolino's Terrace for a lounge dinner in September 2024, so that'll be a really short video, kind of recap review. I've got a longer September 2024 trip recap that I did with my partner Adam because he didn't come on the trip. We just sort of sat down and talked about the trip. So that one is going to be long. It's probably 45 minutes is my guess. So hopefully that'll come out in the next couple weeks. It'll feel a little bit more like a podcast than a normal video, but I hope you find it entertaining regardless. And then I think we can start to get into Disneyland content. So I've got some room tours coming up. Specifically, we'll start with the off-site night we did at a Hilton. And then the first real thing we did in Disneyland was Napa Rose Chef's Counter. So I'm so excited to share that with you. Overall, a pretty decent month on the channel. I definitely feel like I am, hustling a little hard to try to post more content to garner more views. I think that my stats have been pretty weak for the past year or so. And I don't know, in my head, I'm well, if I post more, maybe that'll help. But honestly, the next month or two is pretty busy for me. It's my partner's birthday. I've got a friend coming to stay, and we're going to, do touristy stuff for a while. Then it's my birthday. Like I mentioned, also, I'm on a new medication that's really kicking my butt. So that's been difficult to battle and difficult to find time to do much of anything because I'm just so exhausted. So yeah, we might drop back down to 1 video a week instead of 1 to 2. But I am still pretty hopeful that I'll be able to post 1 a week. I hope the start to your summer has been awesome, and happy Pride Month. DC hosted World Pride. That's been really awesome. I mean, DC in general is very LGBTQ plus friendly all the time, but during Pride Month especially, it's really fun to see everyone dressed up to the nines. And I definitely am so interested to hear your thoughts about these big Disney news pieces. I you know, this has all been coming out while I've been on these meds and like feeling not great. And so I haven't had a ton of time to really like deeply think about it and process it, but a lot's coming, a lot's changing. So scary, exciting. Let me know how you're feeling in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your support. May the rest of your day be magical, and we'll see you real soon at Pixie Dust PhD.